Welcome to CHILIpulse. This is a space that we created to get actionable insights on CHILI GraFx. My name is Bram, and today I have Jeroen with me. Welcome, Jeroen.
Hi, Bram.
Maybe elaborate a little bit on who is Jeroen, what is your role in the company?
So yeah, I'm Jeroen. I'm product owner at CHILIPublish, and as a product owner, you're basically responsible for part of the product, which in my case is the graphics publisher and graphics studio applications. What I mainly do is as a product owner, you try to maximize the value of the product. So that's by listening to customers, finding the needs in the market, listening to all stakeholders. Also internally, there's a lot of communication with client success, with sales, with delivery teams, of course. So there's a lot of interactions, a lot of listening, and it's a nice job.
Thanks for taking care of that part.
Mm-hmm.
Today we are going to talk about multi-channel graphics production with CHILI GraFx. That's a mouthful, but before we dive into that, a quick word of our sponsor.
Hi there. On behalf of everybody at CHILIpulse, I'd like to invite you to Create US, our flagship event in Austin, Texas, happening on the 28th and 29th of June. Create is a place for you to meet other members of the creative tech community. You will learn about the impact creative automation is having on the industry from leaders such as Forrester, creatives, decision makers, and technologists. You can take part in hands-on workshops to get certified on CHILI GraFx, our multi-channel creative automation platform, and a whole lot more. See you there.
Let's continue on the topic, multi-channel graphics production with CHILI GraFx. That's a mouthful. What should I expect?
Well, multi-channel is actually all about serving different channels, having content for different channels. And by different channels, we mean it can go from print to digital. Imagine, like, take an example of point of sales. So just in a store, you have like print, very large formats. It can be posters, but also small formats like the labels on the shelves. Then there's the digital signage when you go to digital. So there's a lot of different sizes and formats that you want to create content for. But then there's also, maybe you want to put something in the picture on social media, so then you go to digital. Then there again, it's different formats, different sizes. So all of that, being able as brand, retailer, whatever, to serve all those channels, that's what all multi-channel is all about. And the reason you do that, of course, is to draw the attention of your customer, because by the more channels, like in daily life, the more you see something, a product in different places, done online, offline, the more you're exposed to it, the higher the chance that you maybe will take a look and maybe buy it.
You say take a look because we create graphics. That's important. It's a visual component. Mm-hmm. So we automate the generation of it. That's why we have the multi-channel creative automation platform. The challenge there to create all these variants for the different channel is to do that in a quick and efficient way. I think that's part of the thing that we're going to talk about today, is how we tackle that.
And that's by having the smart templates.
Yeah.
So first of all, a template is, I think most people know what a template is used for. So you create something that you know, this has a specific design, this has elements that actually user should not touch. Mm-hmm. So that can be specific styles, specific colors, your brand logo, and so you can put all of that in a template. And then as a user, as an end user, you can actually take that template and add your own content to that template. And your own content, that can be, for instance, a product shot and a price, and then maybe a tagline, something that you want to put into the picture. And so then you can serve that to the end user. And in that template, you can then create a lot of variants for different channels, like the multi-channel we were talking about.
And it's a template because we want to have the base layout being on brand, but make variants for products, for versions of the product, maybe for translations.
Yeah, it's good that you say that, because indeed the on-brand aspect is very important. Mm-hmm. To make sure that if a user is using the template, that it stays on brand. Yeah. You have your specific brand colors, you have your specific brand logo, design, that you keep that. So you preserve that, you log that for the end user, so that an end user cannot touch that, but the end user still has freedom to change other content, and that freedom is actually defined by the template designer. You can say, okay, this can be touched and that cannot be touched, just to keep that on brand.
And the template designer, that is the person that is creating all these template variants to be ready to serve to the multi-channel output. And it's specifically that we're talking about today. How, as a template designer, can you generate or prepare all these templates so that you can serve them to the multi-channel world?
Indeed, so template, you can see it as a kit of different sizes, different formats to serve different channels. That saves a lot of repetitive work, and then the designer can actually focus on the creative aspect. So then where we can say, okay, let the creative minds do the creative work. That's what they're good at and what they like to do, and let the system, let the automation part then do that boring work.
So indeed, to repeat, to stress on it, all these variants are gathered in one file, one template, one...
Yeah, but it's as you want. You can also create different templates, but it is possible to put them in one template where you then say, and that's also the concept of layouts. The content is shared across all layouts. You can say, okay, now I have one template that I will use for in my store for big posters, but also for labels on the shelves, and also for digital signage, and maybe even also for social media campaigns. Then you can put it in one template. The content is shared, and then you can say, okay, now I change the content. It's changed across all those layouts. You generate the output, and it's just ready for distribution.
Yeah. So. Maybe to make it very tangible, do you have a demo? Do you have something that we can dive into?
Yes,
I guess you prepared something.
Okay, so let me show it to you. So what we see here is a demo of some product. Like in this case, it's a sport watch, something that there's a discount, and now it's $349. There's a spring sale, so
this could be like an advertisement that you see on a social medium.
Yeah. And here on the left, there's a list of layouts. So in this case, there are 8 layouts, some different banner sizes. Like there's a half-page skyscraper, medium, a square, and a billboard. But there's also for social media. I created one for YouTube, for Facebook, and for Instagram.
So these are the different output sizes that each of that channel needs to serve that ad to their channel.
And you can create a lot more, because now, for instance, for Facebook and Instagram, I created only one, but it could be that depending on from desktop or mobile, you have different sizes or different aspect ratios that you want to create even more versions for only one channel. But in this case, I just created these. And if I scroll through them, you can see that it's always the same content, but just arranged differently. So with arranged differently, I mean you take the objects and you put them at different position, you resize them just to make the design attractive. Because what you want to do, of course, is draw the attention of the customer when going to a website and sees this advertisement. You want to get click-through rate as high as possible, like here, Facebook, Instagram. And then there's an animation, just because it's also proven that when you put some animation in it, it draws your attention, you look at it, so the more likely that you will click on it.
So what we see on screen is like an horizontal advertisement, and on the right-hand side, suddenly the price pops up that says, Bram, you need to buy that watch.
Yes.
Because I'm convinced that's the holy grail of the marketeer.
Yeah, so in this case, indeed, it's for YouTube, 1920 by 1080, and there's a price popping up, and you, of course, want to use it to click on it. Here, if I look at Facebook, it's the same content, so all the same elements, but here it's a square. It's like 1:1 aspect ratio. You can see it. I can play the animation, and actually the animation is the same. So again, the price pops up. There's like a subtle like blinking of the watch and with the button, just to have that to draw your attention. Yeah. But that all still works. So you create the animation only once, and it works for all your variants. You don't need to redo that each time. And here, for instance, Instagram, it's almost the same as Facebook, but here it's a 4:5 aspect ratio. And as you can see here on the left, where you have the list of the layouts, it's actually a tree view, because there is inheritance. So where a child is always inheriting from the parent, and that makes it easy to create variants that only have very small differences. So in this case, for instance, Instagram and Facebook, it's almost the same. So I create the variant not from the top layout, but from the Facebook layout. And just to show you, if it's okay, I will just delete the Instagram one and create it again. So I can here delete it.
Let's not do that in the real world where you delete a child and make a new one. The making part is fun, but deleting one is not a good idea.
Right. So here I rename it to Instagram.
So what you did indeed, you deleted that one, and then you
Facebook, and now I created
from the base of the Facebook one, you created a new sub layout.
Yes. So it inherits all the properties from the Facebook layout. So because you can see now they're still identical. Because I create child, it's still identical. But now I can, on this child layout, make changes, and they are only applied to this layout and not to the parent. Yeah. So I start with, so I select layout. I will make it 800 by 1000 pixels.
Because that is the size that is necessary.
Yeah. For instance, it's an example. So it's a 4:5 aspect ratio, but you can see now it doesn't look very nice. There's some blank space at the bottom. So now I can start moving like the frames around. So I put some elements at the bottom. I move the button to shop now, like the sports watch, like the product shot. I can also make it a bit bigger. I put it here.
So also the size is specific for that layout. You could, because you have more room, you could pop up the image a bit more.
So now I moved it, and maybe you notice it. So on the right where you have the properties of the frames, so properties, that means like the XY position, the width and height. They're indicated in yellow when they are changed on that layout. For instance, you can see here on the Facebook layout, I can select the watch. You can see here also they're in yellow because they're also different to the
specific
top
for that layout.
If I look, for instance, at this spring sale tagline, then you can see X and Y are in yellow because I moved it, but I didn't resize it. So width and height are still in white. So that means that if I would change the width and height on the Facebook layout, that it will also change here, because it's still inheriting from that.
For the people listening in, I think this is the part where you need to switch to YouTube and have a look at it, because it's very good to see.
Yeah, but it's very powerful and it's very visual. So you change something here. If I say, okay, I move this button, I can see, okay, it's only X and Y I changed compared to the parent layout. That means that if I change X and Y on the parent layout, it will not change here, because here I explicitly set those values. So a nice thing is I can play the animation, and as you can see, it still works. It's still the same price popping up, some small, like also the background, you see that's moving a bit. So very easy to do. It took me like less than half a minute, I think, to create this.
Of course, you don't need to do that for every product, because now this is the template you prepared and created. So feeding it with different content means that the template is already there. It is on brand. It will have the price and the product shot of the new product.
Yeah, indeed, and I can show it as well. Like in this template, I put some variables in there, and variables that lets you change a content. So then you can offer your template to a user, to an end user, where you can use the variables to change the content. And in this case, for instance, I have the tagline, which is here spring sale. I have a date as a variable, which says, okay, this runs until May 31st. I have price variable, a product shot, and a background to change the background image. Yeah. But for instance, the brand, in this case, Chiltronics, that you cannot change that because that is your brand. So an end user in no way can change that. Yeah. So let me give you an example. So now it's a sport watch. Let's say, okay, I will change it to a smartphone. So I change the image through the image variable, and say, okay, with that I will also use a different background. Let's take this purple one, and then also the price. It's not $349 for this, but let's say it's a super discount, $199 for this nice smartphone.
And of
Now
course,
it changed.
you're showing this now as a template designer, but this would then, of course, be the behavior as an end user.
Yes, indeed. So an end user basically have a form that you can fill out with all these variables. You can say, okay, this is new price, a new product I want to put into the picture. This is the price. And you can also, as a template designer, say, okay, spring sale, an end user cannot change that. So also not expose that variable then, for instance. And now you can just still play the animation. It still works. Same animations like now on the smartphone instead of on sports watch. It's like little animation on there. And it's changed because it's a content. You can go to the other layouts, the YouTube one, and it changed everywhere. So you can then export this to all your different
Super.
generate the output and then distribute it to the channels you want to serve.
Yeah, well, to summarize, indeed, what you did is added one variant of the layout to prepare for a specific channel. So you would of course do that for other channels. And because it's a template, you can serve it with different content, which makes the life a bit easier for the designer, but also for the marketeer to get to market faster.
Yeah.
Super. Well, thanks a lot for the demonstration and the insights.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for the listeners also and the viewers to join us at this CHILIpulse in this episode, and we hope to see you in the next episode. See you.
Bye-bye.
If you liked this episode and you want to get engaged or you have tips for improvements or changes, please let us know at pulse@chilipublish.com. Also, if you want to be informed of next episodes, please subscribe to the newsletter on the form below.